Hi everybody, welcome to the Miracle Show. We've got Miracle Energy here with Richard Leach and Rose, say that again.
Saroyan.
So I'm here today with these beautiful people who have been in private practice of metaphysical healing for over a quarter century. They hold doctorates in the theological philosophy of metaphysics and the study of unseen forces that have effects upon human life. In the mid-90s, Richard founded a breakthrough metaphysical method of healing utilizing the bioenergy of life purpose. Bioenergy therapy or life energy therapy is based in the understanding that illness is not merely a broken or infected body part, but that health has a purposeful meaning to the life we're actually living. So there's a connection, and that purpose is also the key to healing itself. As a result, the reason for disorder may not actually be in our body mechanics, but is actually in our life. Today, this brings me to ask deeper questions about the meaning of human health. Does our health actually speak timely wisdom to us about our soul's purpose in this life? Does health monitor us and tell us how well we are doing in our journey? And is there any scientific evidence of a mechanism purposely connecting our perceived experience of life to our physical experience of health or illness? More importantly, can you really use this knowledge practically with purpose to powerfully overcome illness, disease, and to create optimal health and set yourself free of life's struggles, pain, and illness? Richard and Rose practice bioenergy therapy, and I can't thank them enough for being here today. Thanks, guys. It's a life care program of self-empowerment, a program empowering health and maintenance of optimum health, well-being, and compelling us towards success in life, ownership, and finally, control of our own destinies. And we can work together to share this information with others also and utilize ancient wisdom to discover the hidden meaning that health speaks to us. This is all to enable us to overcome the effects of disease in life that brings the disease, disorder, and pain that steals our quality of life away from us daily. Please join me to learn more about this amazing transformative use of life energies, which is totally my thing, that has enabled bioenergy therapy clients to remove the reasons why struggle, illness, or pain has been allowed to inflict us and visit our lives. Welcome to the show. Finally, Richard and Rose, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you. I'm honored that you're here. I've never been able to put in words what it is that I've experienced and through my journey, and definitely pain and suffering can get you there very fast. So I'm very grateful for all the work you've put in. We're going to try and cover all of that. Let's look at some questions. We're going to share about karmic DNA with all the viewers. They want to get into it, obviously. There's a lot of misconception there. I want to ask everyone if they want to actually call in. This is a live question and answer. So let's ask the first question.
Basically, we want to open with an overview of explaining, like, what the heck are we talking about? And the overview of what is the breakthrough in self-healing is actually a multiple of breakthroughs. There is underpinning it a breakthrough in science, but it was a breakthrough long before that for me, back a quarter century ago, when I ran into some things and I couldn't explain them, and it drew me into metaphysics. But the breakthrough was actually this long thought of thing that there's purpose to life. And everybody thinks there's purpose to life, and wistfully we think, well, all the bad things that happen, they can't have purpose, could they? But everything has purpose, even the bad things, if you can find the purpose behind them. And so when you start to realize that purpose, life has purpose, you have to make that quantum jump that says health has purpose. And that's a breakthrough. That our health has a purpose and meaning. We're not just made by Bic. We're not having broken body parts. Things are happening in our health that are directly reflecting our life.
Very indicative of what it is we're not paying attention to.
That's right. And so we're running blind in this system. And over the last quarter century, I have developed, which is the biggest breakthrough that I'm bringing, is two systems of intellectual property that not only show a person's purpose in life, but what their challenges are, what will stress them the most. and also a system that actually looks at what is the health telling us with certain kinds of symptoms and problems in the body, and in our emotional health even. So those are the big breakthrough that I'm bringing forward, but in amongst all of that, there's a huge breakthrough in science that is just sort of unfolding, and it's taking a very long time.
Why do you think that is? When the knowledge is...
Well, it's because the development of that breakthrough started in the 60s in cellular biology, and it's evolved and was launched in the 90s, but the breakthrough is going against the grain of everything medicine has thought about genetics for 100 years. And so it's slow to gain traction in the medical industry, or so like they're slowly bringing this forward, and it's gaining the traction. They're recognizing it, but it's kind of cool because it's grew up behind the scenes while I'm working in metaphysics, going, health has reason. I have to find out the reason. I have to find out the purpose. What is the purpose of it? And what is the purpose of life? And so that took me in a lot of deep metaphysical understanding, and I found the keys to the castle to figure out any disorder and how it relates to a person's life. And that's the big breakthrough that we're proposing. And we're going to explain the technology part of it with science a little bit later. But it's like this is all just coming to forefront right now. And so there's a multitude of breakthroughs. And it's like recognizing that our illness isn't about body mechanics, it's about our life. That our life has disorder, has dis-ease in it. And that's reflecting into our health with purpose and reason. And it's not a penalty. It's like people think karma is a penalty. It's not a penalty.
Right. Everyone is like, well, you're going to get it.
Yeah, but it's not a penalty. It's the universal teacher of consequence. So if something's going on in your life, you're going to get a consequence in your health, because that illness, that symptom and symbol are so similar. They come from the same root. Symptoms are symbols of our life. And so they're actually telling us something about our life that we have to address, we have to fix, we have to repair, we have to bring to balance. Because illness is imbalance in the body that's a reflection of imbalance in our life.
And that's something that in a fast-paced life that forces us to look for a Band-Aid solution
Yes.
to everything.
Absolutely.
It has us in a spiral.
And when you asked why did it take so long, and why is it happening now, it is beyond our conversation about bioenergy therapy, but it is about shifts and changes at this time. It is about the consciousness and awareness of humanity. It is the time that everything is changing, and there are more people that we can think of that they are really on a high frequency, high vibration. They are more conscious, they're more aware, so they can understand and they can go through all the changes.
Right.
We couldn't understand half the things we talked today maybe 30 years ago.
Right, and also sometimes the knowledge is there, you can find it, but it doesn't mean that it's comparable, you can't really place it into your life until you have an experience, or you have, or you're forced out of a comfort zone where you have to actually apply that knowledge, right? And then it becomes...
And there was no point of reference, and as Richard mentioned, there is the science and there's the systems set in a way, and science has proven it, except 10 years later, oops.
Right. And we're always going to find, I guess, because this is definitely putting us in control.
How does the body respond to this breakthrough in self-healing? I'm going to reference a medical doctor, Deepak Chopra, in early seminars, PBS shows. He posed some very powerful thought that he said that the human body has every ability to manufacture every pharmaceutical we have in the pharmacy today, in the modern pharmacy. The human body can manufacture that. It can deliver exactly the right dose to exactly the right body part at exactly the right needed time. It can do it, and does, but not always. And he asked, why doesn't it? Why doesn't this amazing manufacturing mill just keep us healthy? And
Because it's struggling to keep us alive.
Yeah.
In this environment.
But why doesn't it? Because it doesn't have a right to do it. Life has purpose.
Right.
And if you're embroiled in something that is against your purpose, you're going to get a symptom that tells you, stop that nonsense, make that last left turn, right turn.
So you're saying taking ownership of telling the body what to do.
Yeah, the symptom is a communication from spirit. The symptom is a communication from your higher self or from the power that be that says...
It's the language, the narrative.
Yeah, that's not what you came to do, or you're doing it in the dark way. You should be doing it in a positive way. It's telling you something about your life. And so when we have this recognition that the body has this amazing capacity, and then we question, well, why won't it do it always? Because it doesn't have the right to do it. It doesn't have the purpose to do it. And that's where this breakthrough starts to gel, because of all of the intellectual property I'm bringing forth about how to figure out what the body's telling you, how to figure out what your purpose in life is, what are the struggles, what is stressing you, and how do you deal with those stresses better.
Right.
So it's all about life care, not about health care. The new health care is life care. Because if you take care of your life, and it's not psychological, it's not psychology, it's not about your mind being offbeat or out of whack. It's about your life is imbalanced, and therefore reflections are happening in the divine trilogy, body, mind, spirit. And those imbalances are going to reflect in you until you wake up and go, oh, I got to do something about this. And that is how the body is able to do this, respond to this in a purposeful way.
So this would even speak to, and obviously you've done things in such detail, I would have to say that even if somebody is far past that point where it's just, they're not doing something right with their life, and they're not aligned, but now we're dealing with an alcoholic or an addict, or somebody with a severe trauma, or somebody who's been on medication for a long time and who's been told they're bipolar, schizophrenic, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Would you still advise the same type of therapy?
I have to be careful how to word this, because you can't go against a medical diagnosis.
Why not?
It's illegal.
Right.
All I can say is everyone is looking for a cause, a biomechanical cause. And the cause is in your life, it's not in your body. So in so many cases over 25 years, I have helped people resolve the issues in their life, and their body comes back to balance, and the doctor goes, whoa, we got to reduce your medication. We're going to lower this, because your recent tests are like, you're way over. So medicine follows along and does what they do in a mechanical way. I don't tell people I don't tell anything about medication. I don't tell anything about as a matter of fact, the doctor's information is wonderful, valuable material to me, because it helps me figure out what the symbol is, what's really going on, what's happening in the body is what's really going on in your life. Where do I find that? And so when we start looking at life care, you start looking at saying, okay, so if I have this condition or that condition, and it's telling me something about my life, what is it? How do I fix it? Where do I go with this? And how do I resolve the thing out there? And the miraculous thing is, when you resolve the thing out there, the symptom will minimize and melt away.
Right, and that's what people need to know. People need to know that it's not like, oh, crap, I've just found out that it's my life, and the symptom that I have is telling me that my life's not in order. I better go see a shrink. No, that's another...
Psychology wants to fix your mind, and we're spiritual life coaches. So we want to help you work your life. When you work your life in the right way, the positive way, for your purpose, and you'll see more of that as we go along, it's amazing how things start to shift and change.
Right.
I've had people with a thyroid condition where the doctor's all of a sudden saying, well, I got to take you off the thyroid medication because it's gone away. This is not unheard of. Neurological disorder has eased and disappeared when the guy was on daily doses of morphine. we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But the thing here is to realize life has purpose, health has purpose, and the body is waiting to enact purpose.
And you do the course. You're actually offering people the course.
Yes, later
so
we're
they
going to
can
talk
be practitioners also, right?
That's right.
But you're not here selling products per se.
No.
You're just
No,
sharing
we're sharing information. We want to teach the people that there is something that they really should look at for themselves. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about a lot of things along the way, but I have a book. It's a self-help book that people can get from Amazon. And it's their
Good place to
first step.
start.
They don't have to actually come and see us. They can start figuring it out. So that's really how the body is prepared to act on this.
Right, so this is no coincidence.
So going back to when you said for the alcoholic or the people who have addiction, or do you use the same? Because the mechanics, the system is the same. It's the body, symbolically sending you messages, communicating to you, and if you know what is communicating, then you can fix it.
Yeah.
But then also there is a lot of belief system that they are not aligned with this. For example, my parents were alcoholic, so it's in my genes and I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, they love to say that, right?
Right, but it's like, it is a learned behavior. It may not be in their genes. But this is all new, it's very hard for any time to change the concept of the general public. When they believe in something, they
so
just
cemented.
keep on going. Yeah,
right.
Cemented. Like for hundreds of years, we have been feeling this, like genetic diseases. And now we have proof that even if sometimes babies are born with certain impurities, they can change it.
Right.
They can change it.
Because we're going to talk about this shortly, but your DNA is waiting to enact life according to your process
and
of
it's
what
changing.
you're doing. And, when you think about this idea that it's in your genes, let's just mull that over for a second. I don't remember the exact figure. It's like 300 million base pair of genes are in our system. It's an astronomical figure. And we got 23andMe. We don't have the knowledge of the genome. They started a genome project in the 90s that was to run 15 years. It ran its course. They barely scratched the surface.
Right.
They don't have all the knowledge even yet. And so, there's a lot of work to be done before we can really understand the depth of it. And, when you start looking at it and realizing that, well, in the next question, we're going to talk about this more, but this is our belief in the genetic plan is so absolute. Like, if it's there, we feel like we're just defeated. We might as well roll up and wait to die.
Right.
And it's not true.
Well, we bring it upon ourselves because
our understanding of genetics is if you have it in your genes, you're going to get it. Well, why do we know it's in the genes? Well, by observation. So that means we've observed that your great-grandfather had this, your grandfather had this, your father had this, and now you're probably going to have this. Well, if it was a heart condition, and that first great-great-grandfather came to this country not speaking the language, and slowly learned the language and realized that he'd been abused by being paid so much less, by jokes behind his back, by this, by that, he becomes very suspicious. This center of the heart center is all about harmony. And so if he becomes suspicious and he becomes wary and upset about the people around him, he has gone into imbalance, and this harmony is no longer, it's disharmony in his heart center, in the energy center. So what is he going to teach his children? He's going to get a heart condition because of the perception of disharmony in his life,
so and he's
going to teach his children, you watch out for the other guy, don't let that happen. And so he teaches cynicism, and each generation passes down the cynicism. Each generation will have a heart condition. We would call that, it must be in the genes.
What do they call that when you bring it upon yourself? It's like not manifestation, self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes.
So we have the power to do either. And
mega power.
we should start looking at disease actually in a positive way.
Well,
That's a good place to start.
Because it's also humanity. The majority of the humans are followers. They're not. Less people are unconformists.
Right.
That they have ideas that they're leading. The majority is followers.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, nothing.
But again,
but it's like they learned that, and they cannot. When earlier you asked a question, said it's illegal. I can't talk about it. We think we are free, but we're not. Mm-hmm. We are so conditioned.
Sure. I'm going to ask the next question, which is there any scientific explanation of how this phenomenon literally works in a physical way? Is it a phenomenon?
Absolutely. Let me explain. I mean, we've been talking about life has purpose, health has purpose, and cellular biology since 1960s has proven how the mechanics of this is actually working in the body.
Right.
And the very early studies actually came out with an understanding that said, the membrane around every cell is made of the same stuff as your brain. Mm-hmm. So every cell thinks.
For itself.
That's right. Every cell is cognizant of what you are thinking and feeling. Headquarters is thinking, and it's listening. So every cell thinks. So when we look at this grew up as a new view of genetics. And, it's interesting because in the 1990s when this was first posed as a white paper, the medical industry did not receive it well because it upturned the whole idea that the genetic plan was in charge.
God forbid.
Yeah, and I mean this is since 1890 something, I think, that we've had the genetic plan, and we think, well, it's in the genetic plan. But in actual fact, the genetic plan has like duct tape. It's got a light side and a dark side, and everything is in there. Every possibility is in there.
Yeah.
And so what's really happening is that the cells are listening to the way you think and feel about your life.
Right, the Louise Hay and a lot of these people have been saying it for a while, right?
Yes. And so what's happening is that in the 1990s it came out in the white paper. It was almost simultaneously when I started. Not even hearing about it till just a few years ago about the cellular biology, and it's like, wow, science built a whole foundation under all my theological, metaphysical understanding of how our life works and how health works and how the purpose is there. It's recognized and created the science to prove that this is how purpose enacts in the body.
Right.
And so it simply means that while we've held so much stock in the genetic plan, it's not genetics that's actually holding the power. It's the cells that are holding the power. And
we're in control of that.
Epi means over. Genetics means control. So genetics was the genetic plan was in control. No, epigenetics is over control of the genetic plan. Now, I'm just going to interject something here. Professor Langer at Harvard created an extraordinary research event. And I call it an event because it wasn't really a study, it was an event that they threw at a country resort. And they had people who were over 75.
Yeah.
All brought in. And they did them a medical, and they were all in good health, good spirits, and they did a medical, and they measured their biomarkers. And they brought them in and said, just have a holiday. Just be as you were 25 years ago. Just think 50. Think how old you were 25 years ago.
Like they say, think thin, right?
Talk about the things as though you're still at the peak of your career. Talk about people as literally, make believe that you're 50 to 25 years ago.
Fake it.
Like, literally disregard your age. And basically, they put them in there, and they had magazines, and they had closed-circuit TV from 25 years ago. They had radio playing, music playing from 25 years ago. They had all of this background built so that it would really hit the illusion home. Okay?
Right.
So
Very real.
as they came out of this experiment, now keep in mind that there is a control group that did not have all this time thinking like they're 25 years old.
Okay.
25 years ago,
Okay,
50
yeah.
years old. So the people in the group, when they came out, they literally saw that symptoms had melted. They saw that stiff joints and muscles were gone. They were more agile. They were more able. They measured their biomarkers, and aging had not only stopped, it had reversed.
Yeah, I mean, I totally believe that.
It's phenomenal, but people's fingers were longer. And so you're looking at it going, wait a minute, all they did was make believe? And that is showing you the power of how your thoughts and feelings are affecting the cells in your body. They're given orders. If you believe in aging, you're getting old.
Yeah.
You know, if you think, oh, I'm at this age, so I should have more difficulty and stiffness, and, you know, I shouldn't be able to get up and down off the floor, or, you know, your body's listening to that. It's happening. You're manufacturing it. So when you talk about epigenetics, here's the real way to look at it, is like your life is your life, and it has a purpose and a meaning and a reason, and we're going to show some of that later, but what's happening is you have a script for your life, and we'll call that the genetic plan. Mm-hmm. So you're going to make this movie of a life, and the genetic plan is your script. Who are the cast and the crew? Your cells. Okay, so you're going to make this movie. You got the cast and the crew of the cells. You got the script of the genetic plan. Well, who's directing? If you have Alfred Hitchcock, thriller master, directing your script, you're going to come out with a very different movie than if you had Steven Spielberg with his whimsical, fanciful, happy-go-lucky kind of playful view of life. And you're working with the same genetic plan, but the outcome is going to be different because your cells are being directed differently. Who's your director?
Who better than yourself, right?
You are the director, and you're absent-mindedly directing your life by letting I like to say the tail of life is wagging the dog of consciousness. You know, you're letting what you see influence how you think and feel, and therefore you're going down.
No, like
but if you wag
a stone.
If you wag the tail, if your consciousness wags the tail of life and makes life, you believe life differently, that it will work out. Things are going to happen. Things are going to come across. You're going to manifest that, and your body is listening.
You know, recently there was this educated guy who was going to do for some tests because there has been cancer in their family. So they just want to prevent it, and then he does everything that one can do to prevent cancer. Yet he was going to do the genetic kind of, you know, the ancestral kind of.
Yeah. That's big. That's right? Very big.
And it's like, and I said, but you know what? For my, what is 2 cents or 5 cents? Whatever.
It's a quarter now. Inflation.
Inflation. If you really believe that, you will get it.
Yeah.
Don't. But it's like the whole world is. The science believes it. So there is no point of reference. So it is a breakthrough to break all the belief systems.
That's the best place to start.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? To disarm.
Exactly.
Like a couple of weeks ago, I was supposed to go to Ottawa. And my family, they love me. They say, but you know what? You want to drive to Ottawa all by yourself at your age? It's like,
oh, boy.
Right, but you don't know my age anyway. So
we're only getting younger. 21 forever.
So finally I decided I'm going. I'm not going to get into this. So I drove. And to my excitement, the speed limit has gone higher. So it's 120 now. So I'm going 120, 125.
Wind
and then
goes down.
And I had a great
Hair blowing
time.
in the wind.
I went for a beautiful dinner. I had my glass of wine. And when I came back, actually, I really felt younger. There was something ignited in me that hasn't been there for a while.
Freedom.
Because, like, that's what they say. When you get older, there's certain things you don't do.
You got to overcome
It's like,
this.
it's a belief.
Not
It's
just
a
when you get older, right? It's just we're constantly, constantly inundated with these very negative, low frequency fears, and unfortunately, if we're not constantly on top of what we want and how we need to get there. Not even how we need to get there, because if we're empowered enough to realize that our body and our soul, like you said, that trilogy will take us there, will show us how, then we're just lost and free falling. And it doesn't matter if you can make free falling, look organized, because it's from the chaos that order happens.
So we are not
diseases.
here to contradict any
beginning.
beliefs, because that's hard to do. We shouldn't be doing it. It is like bringing the news, the new ways, a new way of seeing life, and repeat it until more people will look into it.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take a quick break and have you guys think about that. Call all your friends. Let them know that we're going to get into this book and definitely learn lots more. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Miracle Energy Show. We're here with Richard and Rose, and this is going to be a question and answer format where I'm just going to pick their brains. How does one really create better health or heal themselves with epigenetics, which is what we're talking about, guys?
Well, actually, there's a lot of, and the people who have heard about epigenetics, there's a lot of understanding and misunderstanding. There's a feeling sense that you really just have to be positive and change your life and da-da-da-da. And this is probably a wonderful tack to start teaching young people, because society is quite negatively dominated, and we're killing ourselves. Where does cancer come from? So the problem is that
even the symptoms that we are addressing, like coffee, nicotine, like whatever it is, are also killing us. So it's like layers of thinking that we're helping or sorting out our stress, but really we're adding to it.
Well, if the body has this amazing mechanism with purpose to keep you healthy and balance you with purpose, then you could probably throw just about anything at the body. I mean, medicine throws radiation at it, and it will overcome.
Yeah.
Because there's purpose to overcome it. And if there's no purpose to overcome it, you don't have a sanction to heal.
Purpose, guys, purpose. That's
So
right.
the interesting part is when people hear about epigenetics, it sounds so easy. Well, I'm going to be positive. Well, that leads a lot of people to suppress what they're really thinking and feeling. They're walking around with a big grin on their face. They're telling jokes, but they go to bed crying. They go to bed thinking and feeling what's wrong with my life. So yes, we need to start teaching our young people to be more positive and get out of negative domination. It'd be a wonderful start, but it's like taking a shotgun to shoot a mosquito. If you think that you have an illness and you can just change your lifestyle this way and that way and be more positive, it's like you need surgical accuracy.
Right.
You have to zero in on what the cause was. Yes, it will help. Everything will help to be, more positive, more beneficial, etc. But if the illness has developed, and these things don't come over time. I mean, they don't come on the day of diagnosis.
Right.
Whatever it is has taken months or years to be in place, and you get a diagnosis and go, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? Well, this coming from a purposeful circumstance that's happened in your life, and it's happened some time ago, and you have those memories written already to cellular structure. Your cells are already cognizant of how that went down and how bad it was, and it's every time you conjure up that thought, it replays that, and it enables more disorder.
So it's not just about applying.
That's right. So while it's good to change the way you're thinking and feeling in the broad spectrum, if you have an actual disorder, you need to zero in on what was it that caused that disorder.
Which is what you did with me. You started off by asking me, what is it that hurts? Where is the pain? I mean, the last thing you kind of asked me is my story, because you were able to, from the little information I gave you, you were able to give me, it was amazing, actually. I was so impressed when we were on the phone I was like, holy crap, I can't believe it. I'm afraid to tell you anything because,
knowledge is power. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the cool part is that the big breakthrough I'm bringing is systems to zero in on what it is and how it is and what to do about a certain kind of disorder. So it's kind of more custom. And we're gonna get into the depths of this as we go. But it's kind of more custom than just thinking I'm going to change my lifestyle and we're going to be good.
Right.
Because that's great as preventative medicine. You know, it's wonderful if you can.
Which is why I teach
get rid
kids,
of
right?
Get to positive domination right from the get-go. And you know, if you think about it, people who are happy-go-lucky and don't let things bother them, they live long and prosper. Spock.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Bliss.
So
Keep it simple, stupid, right? That's what they
No,
say.
because as much as we want to eat and drink and do all the right things, it's not enough. It's good. It's a good way of having a life. But the stresses and the things that really causes the stress, it is not the coffee. I'm not promoting smoking or drinking, but I really don't resonate that coffee kills or smoking kills. I'm sorry. A lot of people will go against this, but
do
Well, you know, because in Europe,
We
I'm
need-
sorry, but in Europe, you see the guy, he's like 98 years old.
my grandmother.
Right. They're still smoking the cigarette, enjoying
packs
that
of a
coffee.
cigarette.
You know what I mean? The wine
Yeah.
at night.
neither
Europeans know how to do it.
neither of us smoke, and we don't say go smoking, but I'll tell you what's so much worse than actually lighting up a cigarette and smoking that
Is
cigarette.
making somebody else smell it.
No, what's
No.
worse is looking at the package of the warning telling
got
you
it.
what you're going
That
to
is going
have,
to kill you.
Right.
because it's programming you to die.
God, you know, I always used to say, my God, those pictures are terrible. Mm-hmm. Like
That will kill it, not the cigarette.
But isn't that so surprising? Is that they've chosen, like, they didn't even, like, they actually put a really bad picture.
On purpose. To scare people off of smoking, but what they're doing
And
is they're programming people to die.
And also because if it's so bad, that's like the worst case scenario. And if the worst case scenario is that, then that's not what's going to happen to you. That's the worst case scenario. I'm not going to really look like that girl that looks like she's got a half a face or a quarter of a face, right?
You see, a good example, I had a wonderful young lady who is in nutrition.
Yeah.
She is nutritionist. And she has to have watch everything that she eats, all organic. And then what is it that you drink after
Diet Coke.
digestion? No, she doesn't. And then she said, but when I will look at the people, they eat these burgers, fries, and a Coke, and they enjoy it. They're happy. I'm doing everything right.
She's bloody miserable.
But she is not.
And ill.
Yeah, because it's not about the food. It is how you feel inside.
It's how you think and feel, what you think about your life. You cannot go along fear-mongering. You cannot go along getting on every bandwagon and worrying to death about what could happen, what may
This
happen.
is great news. This is really great.
You have to stay the course and say it's not happening to me. You say the economy might be in a bad situation. It's not my economy.
Yeah, but this is like crazy because
know?
really what you're telling people is it's okay if you're smoking a pack a day right now. It's okay if you know that you have a drinking problem. It's okay if you have a crap diet.
What we're going to actually
You can just
say
tell yourself everything's
is that,
okay.
Actually what we're
Basically,
What I'm gonna-
I'm brave enough to say yes. I
Well,
don't mind.
I explain a little bit further to say, let's face it, the science measurements of tar, nicotine, even formaldehyde in our cigarettes is not good for us. Okay, I'm not going to say that it's good for us. However, you have to have a criteria of reason and risk.
Risk and reward?
No, reason and risk.
Reason and risk.
Reason is where you get unlocked by some circumstance in a certain way in your body that your body's now given permission, spiritual sanction to communicate to you this thing. Now, you can walk around with this risk. I had a woman that had fibromyalgia for years, broke her out of it. I've not met a case I can't break out, but she came to me and we found and resolved the issue. She had the issue present in her life from the age 4.
Is it always the same thing?
From the age
Okay.
4 until age 22. She was 38 when she got fibromyalgia. It was dormant for 16 years Another 5 years of suffering till she found me, and 6 months later, no fibromyalgia. Because we found what it was causing it and resolved the issues in her perception, released the cells from manufacturing these circumstances.
And it's amazing
So
that you say
the
it's not the
reason,
same always,
the
right?
reason was what happened to her before age 22. The risk was the car accident at age 38. Now, medicine points at car accidents and says, well, this causes fibromyalgia. We don't know why. But you have the reason in place until you meet the fall, the accident, the viral infection, that you're unlocked to allow a circumstance in your body.
This is new information.
Those are the catalysts. They're
Yes.
not the reason.
So
Accident.
yes, we shouldn't be loading up on toxins of any kind. I'm not going to say go out and start smoking because it's okay. It's not. But the bottom line is if you're going to have the toxins, you can't afford to have the stresses in your life. You can't have both. You have to have your life in order and things going along hunky-dory if you're going to smoke like my mother till the day she died at almost 90.
Oh my God, my mother did too.
And she smoked a pack of Players Plain every day since she was
Piccadilly.
14. And you know what? She claimed it's the filters. Her belief system was it's those fiberglass
Those
filters that
damn
are causing
filters.
it. Yeah, and she was clear of any kind of respiratory disease, cancer, this, that. She not a problem till almost 90 years old, and that didn't take her. How does that work? If it's just a biomechanical thing that you're going to do this much toxin and you're going to get cancer, no. You have to have the reason for it to unlock your body and then load up with the toxin, or whatever is the physical catalyst. In this woman's case of fibromyalgia, it was a car accident. But it wasn't the car accident. It was the car accident that shook her energy system up and morphed all of those issues together to make the major blocks in her energy system. Now her system wasn't being rejuvenated in cell structure.
Right.
So this is a view of epigenetics that says, it's well and good to be happy-go-lucky and take positive stands, teach our children positive domination, not negative domination. Don't start out critical of things. Start out looking at what's good about it, and then see what needs to be fixed.
Right.
So it's changing the way we think is preventative medicine. But when you already have an issue, or you already have an illness, you're actually facing something that has already got the story written in the cells. You have to go and find what that story was. Find what the cause
Otherwise,
was.
you just become
And
like
when
the
you-
actor in your story that's not even right.
That's right. So when we were on the phone and we were giving a little demonstration of
Yeah.
this, and you were talking about like how quickly I zeroed in, I asked you, first of all, I had your karmic DNA, which is your life purpose. And then I asked you what the symptoms were, what you felt, and those are the two. And then your stress history, what's going on in your stress history? It was like, here's where you are. This is the cause. And we formulated a way of genuinely changing the way you perceive that situation, and things will change.
That is how you use epigenetics to heal yourself.
That's right.
a question, answering your question.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you use it?
Right. How do you actually
Because
use it?
epigenetics is also your perceptions, right?
Right. So you've mentioned this as a spiritual process, and I want to know a little bit more about how to create the spiritual experience in your health. So is it just about reading the book? Is it about reading the book and, possibly writing? Is there a practice to this? I know with Louise Hayes and these, a lot of these speakers, they say, well, sit down and write what you're grateful for. I mean, like, what would you say?
There's a lot of different ways of creating self-help. There's different ways from every avenue. But when we actually start thinking in terms of what is this and how is this epigenetics, this biomechanical thing, spiritual? And the very first thing I say to people is, science is merely the observation of spirit. Spirit creates, spirit manufactures, spirit manifests, spirit
Is the life
unfolds
force,
the
right?
life. Your karmic DNA is embedded in your electromagnetics, and it's plugged into physics in this world to draw a synchronicity of certain people and experiences to you for you to be challenged by. So the science is the observation of spiritual process in action.
So let's put science where it belongs.
And so what's
is
wonderful
me.
about epigenetics is that it's the science that bridges the gap. It's the science that bridged all the work in theological metaphysics of life has purpose, health has purpose, these things mean things to people. It gave it a foundation that's, mechanically sound.
It's the mathematical language, right?
Yeah.
Of the spirit.
So when you see the cellular biology, this is the mechanics under how the body communicates through symptom. So that's where it becomes spiritual. It's the physical mechanics built into us to manufacture this communication from spirit.
And now that spirituality and science are kind of merging, there's hope that the scientific discoveries will be more of a spiritual.
Yeah, they have to
Yeah.
level up.
It was only maybe a decade ago that there was a book, Greg Braden, it says like in the back says spirituality and science. And I laughed. We never saw this before. Science
A combination of words.
Yeah, combination of spirituality
Yeah.
and science.
And they have no choice really at this point because the knowledge is out there and people have actually...
Well, it's like I've been quietly working away at this since the early 90s. And, in the beginning, I was afraid to come out of the dark and tell people this
I
outlandish...
became completely very unpopular.
this outlandish idea. But as other people have come out and epigenetics came out, it's like it gave me the courage and confidence to say, guess what?
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah. I'm not getting this from thin air.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right. and so it's that kind of process.
Rose, what would you say? How did you come to? I'm very curious. Like, how did you find this information?
Which one?
All of
There's
this.
a lot of information.
Did you meet?
Bioenergy therapy, you mean?
Yeah. Like, what was your angle when you
Oh.
guys came together? Right.
Before I learned about what Richard does, bioenergy therapy, I had done a gazillion therapists, like whatever came my way, because I have always been curious. I have always been curious about the mind, of human mind, how does it work? Who were we before we are here? Where will we go after we are done here? And so anything that I could take my hands on, any courses, everything.
Like psychology, and
numerology,
stuff like that, or
No.
that
Psychology?
No. It's more
NLP.
NLP.
well,
Neurological
I
linguistics
just
programming.
astrology, numerology, NLP, hypnotherapy, Reiki, and then how a lot of books from Carl Jung. I read it just for my heart. That's not a fun thing to read, but just to understand the deep reason, the truth. Until I came, I saw,
Sunday
yeah.
So you guys met at a show?
Like about 17, 18 years ago.
No
So,
way.
Yeah. And then he started telling me things. It's like, this is not anything that I have known before. Everything that I have learned, this is not that. This is more, and it's more powerful. And so I said, whenever you're teaching, I'm in.
I'm in.
And she kept on me. That first practitioner's course is all because of Rose. She would call me up every once in a while and say, when are you having the practitioner's course? I said, it's not ready. She said, well, let me help you. I'll be your guinea pig.
Yeah, which is what I...
So then after that, I was the only one who really finished the course.
Yeah,
basically.
there was 4 people that did it. And,
Why did they flunk?
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but they had personal reasons. They dropped away that they couldn't continue attending every Sunday.
Do you think that we're all a little bit psychic because we do have that?
Everyone's psychic.
Right, everyone is psychic.
But you don't have to be psychic in order to. I always say, this is something, it's an art, you can learn it. It is
Your
not.
body's the instrument, and if you,
It's an information. You have the information, you can do it.
In those early days, though, it was I was very tentative.
So what I think about it now, it is like I have done many courses, I have met many masters, many gurus, but nothing really comes close.
Richard,
Everybody,
oh my God! After
yeah.
18 years,
Because like every system is missing
I'm so
something.
glad we're recording this.
Every system is missing something. And when you talked about meditation and like gratitude, and it may work for some people, but if you consider that every human being is unique on this planet, and we have proven it by their DNA is unique, The fingerprint is unique. So there is no 1 or 10 ways that can serve 7.5 billion population here.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised about what you said about the fibromyalgia.
So this is why it's different. It is custom made. It is about your operating system. I always like to bring this,
Right. Bioenergy versus kill the masses.
You know, I always say, consider your body like a computer you buy, Best Buy. It doesn't do anything until you put an operating system. So your operating system, you're going only to work through that. You can program it, cancel it, delete it, add it.
And every person's operating system is different.
Right. Unique.
And we can figure that out with mathematics, with karmic DNA.
If physically we are unique, it means in every other way we are unique. Because our physical body is the manifestation of our soul and spirit.
Even two identical twins.
Even two identical.
So we know that. Like, this is just a given, right? So I wanted to ask, if health is a purposeful communication, in what ways are the teaching presented to us in daily life? And also, if we're living, how does this account for like early childhood illness or trauma? There's lots of cases, unfortunately, where it's sudden infant death syndrome or something that cannot really be explained. Would you say that you have?
Can I go on this one first? Because I'm a burning thing to share here.
Sure.
Before you continue yours, it's when people talk about early childhood dramas and problems, and we try to find a guilty person or an incident that caused all of this, it may not be correct. It might be erroneous. Because when we are born with these energies, and every energy has a positive and negative side. We call it your talents, your gifts, and we call it your challenges, instead of calling the positive and the negative. Right?
So say that
it's
again.
It's like a battery.
Instead of positive or negative, how do you call it?
We call it your gifts, your talents,
yeah,
and your personal challenges. With like a battery, we have positive and negative energy within us. We cannot exist here without opposition.
Right.
Duality.
Because your negative with somebody else's might actually work, right?
No, it's not where I'm going with. I'm just saying that we, like a battery, we have positive and negative. And it is the universal law. This is how it works, that our challenges that we have to learn in life to be the best we can be will be magnified by our loved ones.
Our challenges will be magnified
by our loved ones.
Everyone's playing a bit role in your
by
play
our
of life.
loved ones. What does that mean? By our loved ones, is people who love us?
Yes, it's a parent, it's a sister, it's a later on if they.
So say that whole sentence again. Our challenges
will be magnified by our loved ones.
And
Which
anybody
means that
else
our
we spend a lot of
loved
time
ones-
with.
Okay, so our loved ones present sometimes the biggest challenges, the hardest and most difficult challenges.
Will be magnified in the very close family members or somebody that is significant.
So they say,
So it is not their fault. This is like a soul contract. They will push
A
your
soul
buttons.
contract, right.
They will magnify your challenges.
Right.
Everybody will tell you have to go right. You really have to go to left until the day that you choose what you want.
right.
So it is not their fault. They are just doing their spiritual job.
It's like I said earlier. Your karmic DNA is embedded in your electromagnetic system, in your aura. Your aura is as big as a house. It's plugged into physics to draw synchronicity of people and experiences to you. Particularly these people that you are with all the time. And the family members, as Rose pointing out, that they mean the most to you. So what they say is far more than someone else who's a casual acquaintance. If they said something, it's who cares? So the people close to you they're going to magnify the challenge, but anyone you spend time with, they're going to bring the challenge.
But isn't that a choice
Because-
too? Like, what if you have a really negative parent, right? And it's their traumas and their stuff that they're projecting onto you. Shouldn't you at some point come to this knowledge and be like, you know what, I know that I'm supposed to become better, stronger, and maybe I can take a page from Jesus and be like, forgive those for they not know what they do and all that stuff. But you know what? I'm done. I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to be part of that environment.
Yeah, this doesn't really come clear until you actually start looking at the actual karmic DNA challenges you have. Okay?
Like, find truth.
Because those people are going to be drawn. They're called, divinely called, to poke your buttons and make you consider things and make you face things and challenge things.
One way or another.
And so it's going to come. You could look at it and say, that person is doing all of this to me, but that's without the knowledge of karmic DNA. For instance, I know that you have a huge challenge with self-confidence.
Me?
Yeah. You have a huge
Is it my hairstyle?
No. It is actually your originality code. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but your originality code is a pioneering inventor, innovator of new ideas and ideals. Your hairstyle is you portraying that. But there's a bird on your shoulder always saying, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should.
And that's because I was a fat kid.
And when...
I'm a fat girl.
But the people around you will be poking those confidence and self-doubt buttons on purpose, because you have to master these challenges to be the best you can be. They're actually giving you the mulch and the fodder of the boot camp of your own soul to manifest the best you can be.
Right.
So in other words, answering to your question, as a child, they don't know about this information. So a negative parent, but it's like in a family that there are 5 children, 4 children. Not all of them become broken, and not all of them become successful, because of the choices they make in the same family, in the negative father.
So many variables, right?
Yeah.
Eventually they make different choices.
Right, like my brother probably didn't know that he was making the every time I would eat, and I wasn't even fat at that point, but like I became exactly what it was that and that's kind of like really
a part of your karmic DNA. You have a prominent optimism code, which is artist, author, performer. And that's a natural creative self-expressionist, okay? And if you, at some point, hold your creativity back, if you hold it in, I'll guarantee what happens is you get bulged. Because it's like it's like shaking a bottle of champagne. The pressure will build up. Thank God that they make those bottles very thick, because the pressure will build up. If it was a normal bottle, it would explode. If you have all this creativity in you and you're suppressed or oppressed by an outside force about you shouldn't do these things, you shouldn't be that creative, you're not going to art school, you can't do this, your creativity, bottled up, is going to bulk your form. Your body is going to reflect your issues, your purpose, and your ability or inability to do that purpose.
And I can definitely say, after my concussion, I mean, I used to literally work out. I lost like 100 pounds. I went to the gym every day for about 3 hours. I would pound on myself for 3 hours, like 6 days a week. And my body was in, like, I'd never looked better. But I still never saw myself that way at that time. And also, I found out later that, I was never really happy. I wasn't, right? Because I wasn't really very nice to myself, right? It felt like I had to beat myself into that shape. And I still couldn't even see myself that shape. And then when I was meditating, and I wasn't, after the concussion, I didn't go to the gym anymore. I was now meditating. I was like, I've never looked better. And I started to see myself as I really was, and it was effortless. And people were like, no way. And I'm like, I promise you. Like, the moment I stopped counting calories, I could start eating pizza. And people were like, no way. I'm like, yeah, now I
Did it coincide with getting into this kind of work where you're being creative and you're creatively expressing? And
yeah, I started singing and rapping.
So in other words, what I just said was true. You were bottled up with your creativity and your body bulked.
Yeah.
You unleashed your creativity, and without much ado, you maintained a lower weight.
Big time, big time.
So this is the power of purpose. Make no mistake. Your life purpose is there. You have an optimism code in your life purpose. So this is the power. I mean, we've stepped several questions ahead talking about karmic DNA, but this is how it all happens. And you asked me 2 questions actually when we started this part. And the first question was about what ways will your health communicate to you about your life. And as the slide says, it will provide you soul guidance. And everybody says, well, listen to your gut. What does it feel like? That's bioenergy.
So is it listen to your heart, listen to your mind, or listen to your gut?
Well, listen to your body. Listen to your health.
I grew up saying when somebody had a problem, think about it. I grew up, think about it.
And that's bad, no?
Huh?
Is that bad?
Well, that is how it was. And now I will never ask anybody, think about it. I will say, feel about it. I don't want you to think. I said, I want to feel about it. What do you feel? Because your guts will never be wrong. But your thinking can be wrong because it's by the input that you have put in your mind, it gives out.
So sometimes it's feeling and then expressing that feeling, whether it's singing, art, whatever, and then maybe that's how you see it.
Yeah.
Right?
So the first thing the body does, or the health does to communicate, is it provides you soul guidance on issues, any issues, if you stop and feel. The next thing it's going to give you is it will manifest actions in your life on command. Like
Right.
when you say, God, I think I have a cold coming on. That's a command.
What about if you
If-
say, my immune system is super strong?
If you say, my fibromyalgia, your cells are being told, manifest this and make it right, make it be.
But are you jinxing yourself? or when
if you say my lupus, you're locking yourself into
But what if you
this.
say the positive? You say, oh, my immune system's amazing.
Absolutely.
Are you inviting the negative?
No, but you see what we're talking about is different ways that health will communicate to you. It will actually act on your commands. So yes, you need to start thinking about what are you commanding? What are you thinking? Are you always thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to give me a stomachache. Oh my gosh, this is going to hurt me in some way. Oh my gosh, I have to watch my weight. I can't eat anything. I have to, whatever you're telling yourself in a negative way about what you perceive will happen, your body, your cells are going to manifest.
So start to speak to yourself the way you would like someone to speak to you.
Golden rule, absolutely.
Okay, so how do I want, I like, if I want something good for my child, I should want it for myself too. It won't help for me to want it for my child and not for myself.
So actually, this is interesting. The golden rule is you talk to yourself the way you would like somebody else to talk to you, not talk to somebody else the way you would like to be talked to.
So start right
Exactly.
there.
Because
Yeah.
somebody else's is a different rule.
Right.
Your rule is not good for them.
That makes sense. And the new developments, the bioenergy therapy, the karmic DNA, the bio-symbology, like how did you
Before we get to the next question,
Yeah.
we've got 3 more things on this slide.
No, this one, which
Yes.
is provide soul guidance,
Yeah.
action on thought command, show fear
It will
as...
show your fears as a dis-ease. Your dis-ease about life, it will show as disease in your body. If you fear something, it will manifest. It will also give you a biological excuse or defense. So in other words, a child that wakes up in the morning going, oh, I'm so sick, and you take their temperature and you go, okay, honey, you don't have to go to work, don't have to go to school today. And all of a sudden at like noon, the right is rain, no fever, nothing, they want to go out and play. You can't go out and play, you took the day off school. What was it that made them so ill in the morning? Their perception, they're not prepared for the 11 o'clock test. They're afraid. They're fearful of that. And the biological excuse is to take them out of the play and say, you don't have to go. Your body will help you with that excuse or defense of a situation.
There's so much communication, right? That we're not communicating with ourselves. We're not
And the last
communicating with
one?
our...
And the last one is self-punishment. If you know you've done wrong, if you believe you've done wrong, your cells are going to follow your orders because you believe you're wrong and you should be punished. And
So what if you
you're
are
getting
wrong?
sick.
What
Well,
if you are wrong?
Well, for example,
For example, like,
hypothetically,
because
Rose, why
Yes,
did you do
because
that?
I always say there is no right or wrong.
There is no
in
right
my
or wrong.
in my book, I know it's not right to go and kill someone. Let's not go to the extremes. But right or wrong is an option. It's a perception.
there's reason and purpose.
It's
If you have had to make a hard decision, it turned out to be a mistaken decision, it's a learning curve. It's like, I just saw consequence play out. It was wrong. I have to give myself grace to go, I don't wake up every day trying to make things bad. I don't set out to make a decision the worst possible way. I don't set out to do something harmful. So I have to give myself some grace and say, okay, I did that. It didn't work. It was harmful. I'm very sorry. I apologize, but I have to give myself some grace and say, I've learned something here. I'll never let this happen again.
There's this thing that says, I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you. I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you. Or I'm sorry, thank you.
That is Ho'oponopono.
Right, Ho'oponopono, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to play that sometimes.
That is good, but it is not for everybody. We cannot just stop life because we're all going to practice Ho'oponopono.
No, but I would listen to that when I was sleeping sometimes.
Fair enough.
Because my resistance was down.
And you have to understand why is it important? Because we assume the oneness of the humanity. So anybody who made a mistake, anybody who killed somebody, anybody who robbed somebody, I'm assuming that responsibility and I'm saying I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So it is for clearing and cleansing purposes that Ho'oponopono became alive at this time.
Right. Right. So
the next question that you folded into this question was, what about sudden infant death syndrome? What about childhood disorder disease that leads to illness and death? And, I don't want to get into a big controversy about reincarnation. There are reasons to believe in reincarnation.
That's a whole show I'd like to do.
That's a whole other ballgame. But the bottom line is that there is scientific truth in the studies by clinical psychologist Dr. Joel Witten that shows going through multiple past life regressions with hundreds of clients. Back. The space between lives is shortened. And there can be a bleed through. The bleed through that we have child prodigy, a child that sits down at age 4 and plays the piano. Like, how does that work? We have unusual fears of water or spiders or something. Well, why does he have this fear right from the get-go? Because there's a bleed through of past life experience into this life. And so, yes, there can be such a bleed through of upset coming into this life that it sets the life off with early childhood disorder or sudden infant death syndrome. So it's really a look at the fact that, we can't do something with that. We can't know what that issue is. But that's why it would happen.
And one of my thinking is also, sometimes even though they're babies, very early in life they just say, what did I do? Why am I doing it?
I picked the wrong...
I'm just like...
I think children are way, way smarter than adults.
Absolutely. So earlier when you were saying, what do we teach to our children, positive, negative, or parenting, it's like we have to reconsider really parenting. Children are, I call them a different species now, most of them. We don't teach them anymore. We have to just allow them unconditionally, love them and let them be.
Children are like aliens in a way.
Yes, that's my favorite word, but I'm very careful using that.
They're like the aliens. They come out, they look all this strange, you know what I mean? They're like, wow. I remember seeing my daughter, I'm like, oh my gosh, because you imagine like the diaper commercials, whatever, right? So you have a baby and then it comes out with all this goo and I'm like, what is that? And it's like green or purple, right? And really, that's the beginning.
No, but look at their eyes. I mean, look at the way they look at you.
Yeah, it's like an old soul. It's like, and if we weren't so busy, right, just being led in 1,000 different ways.
Yes. And so while we are at the subject of children, maybe we won't cover it somewhere else. It is like what we call them, ADD, ADHD. They're learning disabilities.
Dyslexias,
you know what? I really don't. I don't resonate with those. These children deep inside know there is nothing they can learn in the school because everything is going to change. Everything, the new paradigm comes with the new ways. So what is the point? And we don't allow them in their own time. They will bloom. They will do whatever they can.
And that's the worst thing a parent can do is actually oppress their child by telling them
you're wrong. Or something is wrong with you.
Right. Or even think about how many hours a child spends in school.
And then what did we learn really? Now, this is not the subject of our conversation.
Yeah,
I
we're
know,
definitely,
but
there's
it's
definitely
like,
a series
Doreen
here. I'd
Virtue
like to do
says-
past regression also.
Doreen
and do a
Virtue
live.
says ADHD means attention directed to higher dimension.
Amen.
And I totally go
Attention directed to higher dimension.
with it. So
I
there we
like
go.
that.
Next.
Next.
slide.
So the next question was, are there any epigenetic healing centers in the world?
Are they?
And to my knowledge, no.
Not yet.
Because epigenetics is the science that has come forth to show that there's purpose to our health. And, you know, in actual fact, bioenergy therapy, I believe, is probably the first epigenetics healing model. And it comes along with a quarter century of experience because it started in metaphysics, and the metaphysics of what we do is proven by science
Right.
in this way. So, no, to my knowledge, there's no healing centers of epigenetics. Epigenetics is a science about how the body works, but bioenergy therapy is definitely a leading force in terms of figuring out life purpose and figuring out purpose of health.
Well, those new schools that we're going to design are basically those centers,
Yes?
those schools of thought.
Yes.
Right? And what was our next question?
How do we come to be using?
How do you come to be using epigenetics to heal people literally during its world debut as a new science? How are you? Like, I come to you, what are you doing? What's the first thing you do?
Well, this is the interesting part, is how this evolved was I went into a turmoil place in my own life.
Right.
25 years ago. I was looking at a very successful career that was not fulfilling. I was looking at a very difficult personal situation in the home. I was, you know, a lot of things had
Hit
me in
rock
turmoil.
bottom, and then...
Now, interestingly enough, as I progressed and I learned about Karmic DNA, I found out that I was in the harvest of wisdom cycle of that year, and that everybody goes through every decade a year of depression.
Every 10 years.
Yeah, and so that year that I was in, and I was questioning everything, I changed a lot of things. I dispensed with a career, I dispensed with a marriage, I just shifted up. Medicine calls that midlife crisis. But I realize it happens every 10 years. Just when it happens younger, nobody thinks you're destabilizing because you weren't that stable to start with. So I was into this question of how could this be? How does that work? You know, and I was questioning so much, I ended up basically in a wide awake channel for about 14 months, off and on, where I was asking questions of spirit, and I was getting the answers.
Straight up.
I was straight up taught how this entire dimension works with purpose and reason, and bioenergy is the conduit. Bioenergy is life energy. You know, it's not just the energy that flows through your body. The energy of matter is bioenergy. The energy of the internet, the energy of the radio waves, the energy of you name it, all the different frequencies from matter all the way up to spirit, and everything in between, including the energy of purpose and the energy of thought, are all this amazing conspiratory, system to create a life of purpose and reason for souls. This is the theme park for souls. And we come here to, in amnesia self, to confront and master things in a physical way that we already know. We're not teaching the soul to be a better soul. We're growing the expression of soul into the material dimension. So these things came to me in the very beginning, like 25 years ago, and it was like, and I was very leery about talking to people, including friends, because if the me of yesterday met the me of today, be calling for the guys in the white coats and the Thorazine, because it's like, this is nuts. And slowly the world's caught up with me with this knowledge. And so this is where that it evolved and came from as a healing model, because Spirit told me that basically eventually doctors and bioenergy therapists will share offices and clientele.
Right.
Doctors handling physical respite and us looking for the cause, because when you can find the cause and resolve the cause, it empowers the physical respite to be successful. There's no more complications after surgery, because there's complications because they didn't get the cause. They just went and physically fixed the mechanics, and the cause is still there. It's going to chase around different parts of the body. You fix this, and how many people have you known that they went into this series of problems? They get one thing fixed.
Something's here to teach you something. It's going to keep showing up in your life unless
and
you deal with it.
Until you resolve the cause, you don't have sanction to heal. So it will go to the next place that it can express itself.
Right.
So this is the crux of things here.
And then you asked, when I come to you, what do you do?
Yeah.
In a simple way, it is like we explain the energy. The word energy from all of the ways that it comes, especially the human energy. Because we know energy, but we never knew there is such a thing as human energy, whatever that means. Now, the same way that we can dissect the physical body, say it is the skeleton, it's the nervous system, it's the organs, it's the blood, it is all of it.
Right.
We have 10 archetypes of human energies.
10 archetypes.
Yeah.
So then,
and they combine to make different themes.
So this is something new. That is a breakthrough to understand. We can dissect your energies and see what energies are you made of.
And in the Kabbalah, it says 10 sefirot, right, which point out. So it does actually...
It is an ancient wisdom updated for today.
It comes through the Kabbalah.
Right.
It started in Sumeria.
So therefore, first they understand that, and then they understand their energies, their gifts and their challenges, how it works, and then they started understanding everything that has caused them problem. It's an aha moment, understanding, not forgiving, not forgetting, understanding.
Understanding the reason why something happened, even something horrible and abhorrent, is releasing.
I'd rather know than not know,
Yeah, because if you can understand why and how it came to be, you can have a different perspective of it that's no longer victimization, that's no longer totally wrongdoing. It's like, oh, I was supposed to get that out of this. Right. Okay.
So therefore, understanding all of that causes a change of perception. And that is when epigenetics start doing its job.
Right.
Change of perception.
You got to allow that process, right?
So because you have to actually change the perception of the very event that caused the disorder. If you just change your general perception, it's not going to rewrite those cells. Those cells have that memory. You have to go back to that memory and go, okay, what did I learn here? What could I have learned here? How do I change this? How do I walk around it and find a different perspective? That's what we do in session.
Right. That's great. And I'm going to go to the next one. What is the ancient system of individual life purpose that can cause illness? We kind of covered a little bit of that. And go to the next one. The next one is, can you show me something about, I definitely need to say that. Something about my karmic DNA life purpose to see how it works. Like, give an example of how you were able to do that.
So when we talked about the karmic DNA in the previous slide, this is your human energies. This is like the energies, we call it karmic DNA code,
so this
if you want to call it. And this is you.
And you put Esther, right?
That's right.
Right, so interesting.
Because that's what you're using right now.
Yeah, I am.
The energy of the name you associate to, if you change it up, within 3 months to 2 years, it brings in a new energy to you. And so that's why sometimes women say, I feel like I lost something of myself when I got married. Well, they lost an energy probably, but they haven't recognized yet the new assets that they got in the married name. So there's that part of it. But when we look at your chart, this is a chart that I created, and it shows that you have 10 different possible places for codes. Some of them are duplicated, so you have illumination in the mission and the fulfillment, and both the outer mask and outer facade, and that creates that as a very high drive, and it's actually superseding the reason of your being here. The reason for your being here, if we look at this, is double originality, power, and optimism. That life agenda is the main focus, and your mission is how you do that, and the fulfillment is where you feel fulfilled in doing that. But doing this, what we have here is double originality. It is...
Because I'm a Gemini?
It's a master, pioneer, innovator, inventor of new ideas and ideals for all humanity. And you are showing that innovation in the way you dress, in the way like this is just you. You go to buy a belt buckle, it's not going to be just normal square belt buckle. It's got to be something funky,
Well, I'll make it
something
myself.
different.
Yeah, I'll make it
something
myself.
different.
Yeah.
You gravitate to the leading edge. I've told people double originality how creative they are. And they're like, oh, no, not me. I'm not creative. Don't tell me. But in actual fact, it's them abdicating the throne because it's scary at the top. Tomorrow morning, I got to get up with a white paper and do something. Oh, no, not me. So the thing is this is a breakthrough because a huge challenge of confidence goes with this.
Right.
Each one of these archetypes has a half a dozen major challenges that you have to master in your boot camp for this life to master being the best you can be. You have 7 archetypes. Count up the challenges.
Does everyone have 7 archetypes?
No, I've seen 4, I've seen 3, I've seen 5, 6.
Does a number reflect high or low? Like
It
what
just means you're diverse and you've got more challenges on your plate. But one of the biggest challenges here with your illumination originality is that illumination is a natural healer. It's a caregiver. And so you find this in a lot of people in the medical field. In its highest maturity, it's a spiritual leader. So this is one who cares for people with their health and their spirituality. This is the leadership of spirituality. And you also have power, which is the material leader as well. So you have a built-in business acumen you can't get at Harvard Business School. You have a sixth sense around managing resources, people, and money. To the degree that you are not compressed by programming that says money is the root of evil and power is corrupt, I don't want any part of it. To the degree that holds you back, the world needs positive leaders. That's exactly the person who just stepped forward and be leadership, because they are going to lead with sensitivity and sensibility for the good of all. Because it could go the other way, in the negative, it can go into dictatorship. It's not so good.
Right. But that's not my nature, you're saying?
No, because you have illumination as the spiritual leader, you would not do that. You're more apt to abdicate your power.
And what if somebody
and
had it
struggle
the other
financially.
way? What if somebody had it the other way and it showed up the other way? What would you say to that person?
Well, in sessions, we teach them how to manifest the best of themselves. This is not something you can actually do.
So you can change these
We're
things.
sort of showcasing
No, you don't
this
change
chart.
the energy. You master the challenge of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And
So-
then you wouldn't want anything else.
Right, like own it.
Right.
Own it.
You
Yeah.
only, what bothers you is the challenges of the energies. And if you know what they are and you really master them, that's the best of you then.
Yeah. It's a fast track to understand why things are happening and what are the challenges, what are the answers to the challenges. We don't just say, here's your challenges, here's your hat, what's your hurry. We say, here's a challenge, this is how it will look when it comes up in your stresses in your life, and this is what you need to do with this particular challenge. So we're teaching people how to get on the fast track to a positive handling of their life care.
So this is like the first display of something that you only get from name and birth date.
Yes.
And if it resonates and it starts to sound like, okay, this is definitely, he's onto something, then you would go through this, and then based on this, you would go to the next level. So everybody has
Well, you
a
see,
different.
this is a fundamental piece because it's actually ancient. We've been ignoring it. This isn't personality like astrology or numerology. This is
Yeah, this is not
this is what you
astrology.
came
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do. This is what you came to do in life, and what tasks you have to master to be the best at it.
Right.
So, and it's ancient. It's embedded in our oldest scriptures. This is when I got this in.
Who did yours?
When I got this in channeling, I questioned how could this be, and I went hunting for corroboration, found it in ancient scripture. So what I got from spirit now had a foundation that said, okay, so this has been around a while, 9,000 years. That's pretty deep.
Wow.
So I created this chart to display how
okay.
people can recognize what they are. You see, the upper half of the chart is life process. It's what your life is you're supposed to do. Down here is self process. So this you could regard as like, this is vocation, this is hobby.
Okay.
So if you spend all your time doing stuff down here and not doing this up here, life's going to be a struggle. I can't know that. But when I explain it all to you, you go, oh, well, I've been doing this and this and this, but I haven't been doing that. Well, maybe I need to learn about that. Maybe this has scared me off because it's so big at 200 and 210.
Oh, that's the number, right?
Yeah, that's the influence. When
The
you take
proportion.
this box and this
proportion, like
box
a
and this
ratio.
box and this box, and you add the 4 together, it gets to 210. So it's like 210%. Like it's a caricature of you. And and the challenges go with it are that much bigger.
And that number can go as high as, is there
I've seen those numbers run as high as 350.
okay.
So it just depends on how they're configured.
You know, Richard
Everybody-
is explaining it, and you're thinking like it's simple. It is simple, but it is complex.
For sure.
There is so many different ways, and until you really yourself learn every single energy, all aspects of it. For example, he told you the technical parts of it. This is this is it. Just for the fun of it, I would just for the fun of it.
Yeah, for the fun of it, go for it.
So you really are coming here as a non-conformist, as an extremely creative person to bring new ideas to this world. You have backbone, you have power, but you are extremely creative. But you decided you're doing it with heart and with compassion, with love. But that very energy is becoming a victim in the process, because you cannot make the harsh decisions. Everything is like your emotions are in it. You really do everything with your emotion. So number one thing that you had to learn is objectivity. Objectivity. Take your emotion out and look at it from outside.
That's so hard to
And
do,
it,
right?
of course it is, because
That's
it's
one
a
of the
challenge.
challenges of illumination.
Illumination's second biggest challenge is loss. Through losses, you grow. You remember who you are. And then you don't have a lack of creativity, because you have a lot of. That's your double originality with optimism. And you have a backbone. You have power code. So we don't have excuses. You
And
have
when the-
everything you need to do your life.
And when the backbone, that power code, is suppressed or oppressed, you're coming to symptom.
What type of symptom do you know already?
A whole bunch of different symptoms. I mean, it depends on how it's suppressed. But you cannot suppress power and get away with it.
It's going to kill you.
It will, everything all the way up to cancer.
And then also, if you become like learning the society's ways, it's not going to work for you. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because
So-
they always said to me, yes, you know, like they say in Spanish, cabra loca, like crazy, you crazy, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the crazy you see coming. That's the good crazy, you know.
That gives you a bit of an idea of the chart, and this is a descending order of the influences. All right, you've got seven.
So I'm bad
seven-
on insight. 10 on insight, that's not good.
Well, it's in your environment, and you know, insight is a deep feeling sense of other people as a psychic counselor, but you have illumination at the top of the list. Like both are caregivers. One's a counselor, one's a caregiver, and so you have. It's not a bad or wrong thing. By the way, I can tell you that 10% insight is your autopilot. The fact that you have insight in the list at all, you have 100% of the toolbox. But your bigger codes will jump out and try and handle everything in life, even if it's not their real calling. And only when they're stuck will they pass it down to the little sisters.
Right.
Right? When they're stuck, finally it'll get down the list to another code that's more capable in that particular issue.
Right.
And down here you have a
Proportional
list.
comparisons.
Yeah, to see what balances there are. Independence 230 to 70 social. So you're pretty, independent person. You don't really, you could be social. You can go to have fun, but you're just good in your own skin. You're good doing your own thing. You could be the pioneer that goes up north, clears the land, puts a log cabin together, sits by the fire with the coffee, and thinking to yourself, I haven't been to town in a couple of years. Wonder if they're still there. Because while you were on a creative project, you're good to go.
In the zone.
Yeah. So this is really the fundamentals of what you came to do, and this is showing some balance in it. 290 sensitivity to 260 strength. That's fairly good balance. So all of this is just a way to look at why you're here. Then we look at the challenges compared to your stress history, right? And so
How do you do this for children also?
You can.
Is there an age limit to, like, would you say, like,
Yeah.
if a parent says,
I've
I want to
done-
bring my child to you?
I've worked with children as young as 7 or 8. Really, they have to be thinking.
Okay.
And I've worked with elderly as old as 98.
Okay.
And I've actually worked with children unborn
I believe it.
because the clients, the parents came to me and said, we're naming our child. And we wanted to make sure that we're not putting up obstacles. We understand what you do. So I say, well, give me your short list, and we'll look at what each of those names is going to bring to their life, and then we'll look at the expected days they'll be born, and depending on the balance of the two sides.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
like
we'll help you pick the name of your choice. I mean, you got to get your short list. What do you want, right? And actually, naming usually comes from the child anyway.
And sometimes also this helps parents who don't understand their children, and they believe in what the science says, the teacher says. And
Yeah.
this is like a
They're disempowered,
it's an
right?
insight to see who this child is. And it's like, and then you just, oh, by the way, I have been using the chart with autistic children, the children who don't speak or they don't explain or they don't express. But one of the young ladies that I work with, she works with autistic children.
Yeah, yeah.
So she goes to them with the insight, like what is this child and what is that
What are
child
they about?
like. And it
how
helps.
to reach.
Helps a lot.
So with autistic children, is there a way to will they ever communicate when they have this knowledge? Can they?
No, it's not about them. It is about the person who works
person
with
who
them to
works
know
with them.
who is
Yeah.
that person. Like,
Person or the
Right.
parents. If
How
they
to treat them.
understand what the child is about, they can say and do things and show things and give particular kinds of toys that are up their
Right.
up their tree.
So this is definitely a tool.
Yes, yes. Well, let's take this.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back because we've got this. Guys, like, seriously, where did you say they could pick this up? Amazon?
Amazon.com.
Okay, take a look at this. Come back to us after our 5-minute break. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Miracle Energy Show. We've got Rose and Richard here talking about epigenetics and Karmic DNA and
Bioenergy therapy.
bioenergy therapy. So we are going to start with what we have over here, which is a book. I lightly told you can get it from Amazon. Also, you can call that channel.
There's a slide coming.
There's a slide coming. We're going to look at that now, and it's a hands-on. Okay, let's talk about it.
So the other part of the contribution to epigenetics is the fact that epigenetics is doing something, but there's really no way to read what's left behind by epigenetics, the symptoms.
Okay.
And so medical biosymbology is a growing database of understanding body parts and symptoms and diseases in a symbolic way.
Okay.
So it's actually that missing piece. There is an online database for anatomy. There is part 2 and 3 coming, which is all symptoms and all diseases.
Yeah.
But anatomy is complete and available to the public. For biosymbology, they can download a file on every part of the body. Every tooth that you have a problem with has a meaning. So every part of the body has a meaning, and it's telling you something about your life. And so how this all comes to work, we'll take the next slide and say that we use a system from nautical navigation where you have a buoy and a point and a harbor, and you take a fix on the buoy and a fix on the point and a fix on the harbor.
Yeah.
And that's where you are in the nebulous of water, and you can be very accurate within 10 feet. Now, if we use that same formula in healthcare, we take karmic DNA. What is your purpose? Each one of the challenges in your karmic DNA is there purposely, and each of those things that are challenging you have the potential to stress you
Right.
more than another person. And every
Right.
archetype you have has a half a dozen challenges. So in other words, you come in and you look at your karmic DNA and you say, okay, these are the challenges I have on board. My body is telling me, my health is telling me this. Here's my symptom list.
Right. So you put in.
So there's 2 fixes. And then you tell me your stress history, the perceptions of your life that have gone on before. And there's a 3rd fix, and you can narrow in. You find the experience that causes any given disorder. It's not pulling things out of the air, it's not pulling them out of the hat, and it's not psychic.
Okay.
So it's an analysis of how to get there, right? So it wouldn't be possible if we didn't know for sure that life purpose was an ancient system, and in 25 years it's never been wrong with
It looks
anyone.
like the palm of your hand, right? When I look at that, I look at like it kind of feels like the palm of your hand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we have karmic DNA that accurately tells us what will stress you as opposed to another person, what your answers are. We have bio-symbology that tells us the health purpose of what your health is telling us. And then your own list of things that happened in your life. That leads us to find out what it is. Finding the stress is all the problem. I mean, doctors, you go to the doctor today, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to say, this is stress-related. Well, thanks.
Everything, right?
Thanks, Doc.
Like,
That and $1.50 gets me a coffee. But what stress?
Does it?
Do you know, Doc, how many stresses I got?
right.
And this is a way of zeroing in to figure out what stress is causing what kind of symptom. And that gives us the intel to figure out, how do I coach this person to take care of their life differently? What do I have to see? What kind of things that they need to be doing in their life to overcome and rebalance their life, and automatically the body rebalances.
Right.
Now, it's interesting because, doctors will tell you, you got 6 months to live. And if you don't go home and roll up in a ball and wait, if you go home and go, only 6 months, I have so many things I want to do. Well, I'm not going to hang around here. I'm not sticking with you, or I'm not going to my job. And you take a shotgun out and you shoot everything that bothered you, because you only had 6 months, it's all for me. Go be selfish. But in 6 months' time, the doctor's saying, well, I don't know why, but you're in remission. You could live 20 years.
Damn it.
So they all of a sudden they're, oh my God, the credit bills? Oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to work. Oh my God, I'm going to have to get back with this or that. The next thing, they put the very thing. They took it out by accident. They put the very thing back in their life. Oh, cancer's back. So
Live every day like it's the last.
It's like we need to be able to work with our life in a very powerful, poignant, and accurate way. And this is the intel to do it. We coach people all the time on having a better life, being true to themselves, true to their soul contract, that their soul came here with a specific ideal contribution to make, an ideal of what it wanted to master in this lifetime,
Right.
and
teaching
grow its
this
expression
to
of soul
people
here.
so that they can actually become the leaders of that type of thinking.
Exactly. And yet
create the wave, really.
So many people end up suppressed.
Yeah, that's not
crushed.
going to happen anymore.
No, well, we don't let that happen, but so many people end up suppressed by what they're supposed to do, what they're programmed to do. It's like we have to shed some of the programming and the belief structures that have been so drilled in us. We have to shed some of that to get back to our own soul issue, our own soul need, our own soul contribution, and be freed up to be who we need to be.
That's right. Canada's all about that, right?
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Last I checked. So what's the next slide that you have?
Gender?
Because you've got the chart. Okay.
The next thing that we wanted to talk about was, the question is, what kinds of things will this work for?
Everything.
Exactly.
Everything.
There's a whole list of things on this slide, and that's just an et cetera list.
Okay.
And basically, we're saying you want to turn the hurts in your life into healing. We want to take the struggle out of life and bring it your strength. We want to turn your pain into power.
Okay.
And you only have, the only thing you have to lose is your own suffering. So there's no reason why you wouldn't want to check this out or take this tack. Try to make some changes that are not only beneficial to your health, but beneficial to your feeling of success in life.
So and I'm just curious, how much is the book?
I think it's $25.
So, like, what you pay for a meal?
Yeah,
You try it out.
yeah.
The book can
Depends where you're going
In
to have
U.S.
your meal.
dollars, I think it's $18 sold out of Amazon.com. It's in U.S. dollars at $18. So it's about $25.
So, it's definitely
Yeah,
just one step.
absolutely.
What else have you got there for me?
Well, there's some talk about cancer, and one of the things I was pointing out was, 1 to 2% of all cancers happen to go into remission, and I just spoke about this. What could be activating or deactivating cancer cells?
Stress, right? Stress.
Yeah, epigenetics.
Okay.
The things that are in your life that you live with and are abhorrent, and every day they nag at you, they're not going away. And when we have a traumatic event, okay, let's say that your energy, this is something I didn't say to anybody yet, but in the show, but your aura is as big as a house. Did you know your mind is in your aura? You have a bioenergy field of mind. You have a mind field. All your thinking happens out here. No doctors, even Dr. Wilder Penfield, who's credited with road mapping the brain, he actually couldn't find consciousness in the brain.
In the brain, but
Yeah.
outside, right?
Yeah, he couldn't find consciousness. They've taken out every part of the brain at one time or another and never lost consciousness. Where is it? It's not in the brain. The brain is an organic translator of energy of thought into physical reality, in a physical machine.
So wait a
So
minute.
your-
When
your
you're sleeping,
mind-
where is consciousness when you're sleeping?
It's probably doing a happy dance several miles away. If you've ever fallen back into your body, it's because your body was waking up and you were away.
Or what about when
You
you
know,
have? Yeah.
When what you were suggesting that some people have this, like
Yeah, I used to get that all the time when I was little.
because like your body was there, your soul was not there, your spirit was not there. So when it comes and gets into the body, you get that.
Yeah,
Right.
that jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
What about when you have the best dreams? I always say if you've got a really good dream, that's because that was actually astral projection. You went somewhere, you did whatever you wanted to do.
The dreams are also
Could be.
very different. Some dreams are not dreams. It's actual, you're experiencing it somewhere out there. And
Right. So
some
this
dreams,
is just like the cusp really of
The where you can go in this kind of conversation is like a whole show.
yeah. No, it's a whole year program.
yeah.
But it took us away from where we're going with the slides.
Right.
But the thing is,
Back to the slides.
Right.
Back to the slides, guys. All right. So we're talking about cancer. Let's get cancer out of here. Cancer's out of here, guys.
well, the next
Breasts.
the next thing was the question is there some evidence of this actually working in cancer? And I can tell you that cancer is not something that you easily beat, because the problem is this is not a fast thing. To find and resolve and change to a genuine different belief, it takes some time to figure it out and find it and resolve it. Oftentimes you could run out of time before we get to resolve of cancer, before they pass. However, recently there was a total health show in downtown Toronto.
yeah.
And a woman came to the booth and confided that she'd just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was stage 4.
Which at that point they just cut the breast off, right?
Well, yeah, capillary carcinoma. And the biopsy showed it, I think it was stage 4. And so what happened was I suggested to her, why don't we go into therapy and prepare you for your operation? Get you in the best possible position for the operation. She had already said no mastectomy. She was having dual lumpectomy. And so she did. And in the time we had, she came for 5 double sessions, which is like 3 hours a day
Yeah.
for 5 weeks. And we worked and we found the issue. We found the resolve. We put a plan in place that she started implementing to extract her from a situation that was causing this. And when she went to the operation, they did their thing, they extracted the lumps and sent them off to the lab, the same lab that did the biopsy.
What happened?
And it came back not papillary carcinoma stage 4. It came back, am I right on the stage? Did I get that right? Can you look? I don't want to be wrong.
It came back what? What?
It came back ductal carcinoma, which is normally recognized as the beginning stages of breast cancer, and stage 0.
So it regressed.
Stage 0, non-malignant. It went from malignant to non-malignant, stage 4 to stage 0, one kind of cancer to another kind of cancer, and the doctors are baffled.
Next slide.
Next.
There's the book. And it's on Amazon.com. It's not on Amazon.ca because we don't have a print facility in Canada
Yet.
on Amazon. But you can go to SolarisLight.com, which is one of my sites, and there's a direct link because apparently people have had trouble finding it. So they can go to SolarisLight.com. There's a direct link. Will bring up the Amazon page where the book is.
Okay. Just coping standard methods, yes.
So one of the things that people would ask is, aren't there already mechanisms in the body to help us cope with the stress? Well, what we understand about stress, you could put in a bucket and a spit in the bucket. And the standard operating methods around stress are to recognize by observation what people do with stress is they either deny, they suppress, or they minimize.
Or amplify.
Because they either say, I don't want to believe in it, stress, or I minimize and say, well, it used to bother me, but I'm over it now, or I'm stressed and I don't care. I don't have time for this, and they just soldier on. The difference in the method with bioenergy therapy is search for the issue, resolve the issue, and adopt a new belief around the issue. And you and I did some of that on the telephone last night.
Yeah.
So this is where you get a true release. You cannot live with the thought and write it to cells and not get an abhorrent symptom.
And because of our conversation, I ended up, like, my higher self took me to, like, several different places or conversations with people that actually reaffirmed everything you said through, like, synchronicity or whatever. So, like, last night, I actually, like, at 2 a.m, I was just, like, crying because there was this release, And I was so thankful. Really, I was so thankful. Because
Wonderful.
It's easy to lose sight, right? All right, so after true release, what have we got? Next slide. Love this.
So what we've been talking about is life care. I mean, this isn't psychology, psychotherapy. This isn't fixing your mind. This is about recognizing that there's things in your life that are really pretty abhorrent and or they are just off track. And if you can find the track, Karmic DNA, if you can figure out what your body's telling you, we can figure out what to implement in life to make it more palatable, make it more successful, more happy. It's funny, I have people who phone up and they say, I saw what so-and-so got, and like he went from illness to success.
Yeah.
Do you have to be sick?
That's a good question.
And I said, no, you don't have to be sick.
You can start from any level.
Yeah, because bioenergy therapy is an empowerment modality. It empowers people in their life.
So
it
even if you
teaches
have
about
no
their life.
symptoms, even if you have no disease, that doesn't mean that
That's
this
my
book-
favorite part, to empower people before they get sick.
Yeah. It's preventative medicine to do your life well.
medicine.
Right. And there's no accident. If you're seeing this show, if you're hearing about it, then the fact that you don't have any disease means that it's a no-brainer. There's nothing actually resisting.
That's right.
There's
resistance.
very few
Go
times
for
we
it.
hear people that never got anything. Everybody gets something one day. But we can go without,
Yeah, we can.
right?
Hell yeah.
But
Next.
25 years
So-
ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid issues,
Yeah.
hypothyroid, and I was supposed to be on pills for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's what they say, right? Once you start taking it.
Yeah.
And you
But I
said no
didn't.
way.
Yeah, I had to take it for 3 months because I was really very sluggish, very tired. Everything was falling apart in my life. Like I needed something.
Yeah, thyroid is like.
And after 3, and they make you afraid. If your thyroid doesn't work, nothing works, and then it's like you have to. Anyway, 25 years later, my thyroid is very well, thank you.
It's true. I've heard of people
And
who
it's
get
like-
divorced because the woman had a thyroid problem and nobody looked at it, right? Because it can affect your mood, it can, like mental issues. Or
Yeah.
No, but it's like there's a lot of change in my life. There's a lot of change in the way I think. There's a change in myself. I'm a different person.
Well, if you look at biosymbology, for instance, on the thyroid is literally the gland of truth and timing. It sits here in your fifth energy center, the center of your will. It listens. It's a master gland that runs all other glands because it sits here in the seat of your will, listening to your will. And when you have to fight or flight, it kicks up the adrenaline.
what if someone doesn't have
So-
a thyroid anymore?
You're a little bit limping. So
That's literally my dad. My dad is actually limping. He has serious issues with limping, and he had half or like 3/4 of his thyroid taken away.
yeah. So the thing is that the thyroid is about truth and timing. If you're telling everybody a different truth, you're not being true to yourself, and you're going to have a thyroid problem. If you're trying every day to beat the clock, you got to have that particular task done by 4 o'clock, and you're racing, you're going crazy
yeah.
at your desk, you're immobilized. Your thyroid thinks it's fight or flight time, and it's kicking you up into high gear, and it's not long until it blows because you're giving it wrong messages. You're giving it messages that there's a lion coming after you, and you got to run, and you're not going anywhere.
Right.
So you get hypothyroidism for holding things in, and hyperthyroidism for overacting your life.
Right. That's something that's
So,
very common.
so when Rose said that she was in this funk and she had everything going wrong in her life, and that it was a thyroid problem that was reflecting into her body, well, then she said, 3 months later that things had cleared up in her life, and the thyroid's back to normal.
Well, I didn't know. It happened by accident, but it's like changes happened. But now it took me 10 years, but it doesn't have to take everybody 10 years.
No way. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Next slide.
We are launching the second practitioner training course.
Guys, listen up.
The first one was 17 years ago.
2002.
And that's when Rose came on board. And of the class of students, Rose was the only one that finished. And she's been successfully practicing bioenergy therapy ever since. And as you know from earlier, that she's done all kinds of other things, and she finds this a lot of meat and potatoes here. So we're basically going to run that same practitioner's course. It's updated now with 15 more years.
Online?
Yeah, it's an online course.
How can people...
Anywhere in the world.
The reason is because it's going to be a global.
Yeah.
So it's not just people who can drive here.
Yeah,
So-
there's already a person in California. So
People can do this from home. People could be practitioners.
Yeah.
People could
Anywhere in the globe.
take their life back, heal their own kids.
It's the same thing. We are
Yeah.
going to do it exactly the same thing as if they were ready, like present. They
Yeah.
will give the information, questions and answers. They have support. They have constant, take care of
back
them
up.
until they...
There's a place to
How
ask
long is the
questions.
course, guys?
It's 40 weeks.
40 weeks.
And
How many
it's,
hours per week?
It'll probably be 2 to 3
Yeah.
hours every week.
And that's individual. It's not like a
No, it's online course to a class of people all
that's
over
great.
the globe.
So they can communicate with one another too.
If they want.
You're creating
if they
that
want it.
network.
And
Powerful.
ultimately graduates will join the bioenergy therapy network.
Network.
And they become automatically part of the bioenergy therapy family. They have representation on the bioenergy therapy website, global, worldwide. And the cool part is
Which is the future of the healing.
at the
Welcome
end,
to the future.
at the end of the course, it's a turnkey career startup.
Okay.
All they have to add is their office and their furniture, because
IKEA.
there's a practitioner's gift at the training package at the end of the course for graduates. That is all the printed matter, the forms, the mailer cards, the marketing
Brochures, business cards,
brochures, business cards, everything.
what they need for the shows, expos.
including a roll-up sign for personal presentations at health shows and health fairs. So
All hemp based? All hemp based? Not yet. We're getting there, guys.
well, we just want to make sure that the minute they graduate, they can go, they can start. And there's no figuring out, well, where will I get my business cards? What will my brochure look like? Oh my God, I have to write that? No, it's a turnkey career startup that literally right after graduation.
We really want it to be very different.
Yeah, we wanted to enable people to be in the work.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is awesome. Wisdom to optimize your lives.
You know,
Right.
one of my favorite things that Bruce Lipton said recently actually was, there is nothing in this world that can trouble you as much as your own thoughts. And there's a nice image. And then I added on in that, in the same way, there is nothing in this world that can heal you permanently than changes in your perceptions in your life.
Say that again.
And there is nothing in this world that can heal you permanently than changes in your own perceptions of all your life.
And it's great. Someone once told me that no one has power over you.
That's it.
Everything is sticks and stones. It's all props. You do it all. And that's kind of like how you want to tell your kid, right?
Well,
You
I
want to say
explain it
you
that
have the power to do it.
everybody, your family, your friends, everybody around you are all bit players in your play of life. They're all there as purposeful personalities, stand-ins to bring you the challenges of your life.
And one of my favorite things also to say, like the people who hurt you the most, when you learn all of this, you're going to send them a thank you card.
You know what? It's funny because I got a stack of thank you cards from like
Right.
Salvation Army or whatever. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? And I told myself, you know, one thing is to have gratitude. I'm grateful for this day. I'm blessed. Another thing is to write specifically to the people whom you still probably have a problem with. And say, I'm thanking you because even though I don't know how or what exactly I'm supposed to learn from this, I realize that it's not your fault. I accept you in my
Well,
life.
spend some time with us, you will know what exactly you learned from it.
That's right.
Good. So this is where you get the information, guys. We've told you exactly where to go for the book. Amazon, and if not, Solaris.com, SOLR or ARIS.
ARIS.com.
.com.
Light.com. And the training, if you go to bioenergytherapytraining.com, that's where to find out about the training.
The fees, the
all
time, everything, all the information. You
Yeah.
can also reach us at thatchannel.com, for info@thatchannel.com with any questions, and we'll put you in touch with Rose and Richard ourselves. And also, I randomly opened up and on this page, and it says the spiritual communication. So, we've bastardsized a lot of these terms, and unfortunately, people are like, "Well, I don't like spirituality. I don't like this." But one thing that's still new is epigenetics. It hasn't been, So start with the biotherapy and start with the cells themselves, right? Thank you so much.
Rewrite your
Thanks.
life.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much, Rose. I'm so glad you found
You're
each
very
other.
welcome.
I'm so glad I found you. And we're definitely going to have you guys back. Thank you, Chris, also. And thank you, That Channel viewers.
Yes, none of this would happen without him,
That's right.
without Chris.
Christofix. That's what I call it, Christofix. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be well.